Good evening and welcome to the February 4th, 2015 Falmouth Conservation Commission hearing. At this point in time, I'd like to just, if you have phones, whatever, please silence them. All right? During the hearing, you're encouraged to make your comments, but what we require is you come up to the podium, announce who you are for the record, and then you're addressed by the chair, and we have a really good time. First on tonight's agenda is voting the minutes of January 21st.
Mr. Chairman, I read the minutes and I found them to be in order.
Second. Okay, that was Mary's motion. Mike's second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next on the agenda, request to continue hearing under notice of intent. This is for 342 Acapesket Road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's representative is requesting a continuance until February 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mary's motion, Russell's second, and that's for a continuance to February 18th, 342 Acapesket Road. At this point in time, we have a motion on the table for a continuance. Is there anyone in the audience that's here for that project? Okay, seeing nothing out there, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next, we have the request for determination of applicability. Even though that's a mouthful, it's the lesser of the two permits issued. What it is where staff reviews and makes a recommendation to us. A negative determination is what you want to have determined. That way you can proceed with the project as discussed with staff. First up is Woods Hole Boat Sales, Inc., 352 Scranton Ave, for permission to repair 87 linear feet of steel bulkhead consisting of removing the steel cap and cap log and replacing with in-kind material to be welded to the steel bulkhead with the wood cap bolted into the steel cap.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have reviewed the project and are recommending a -2 in the state and bylaw with the resource area boundaries not conformed.
So moved. Okay, that'll be Michael's motion.
Second it.
Russell's second. Okay. And at this point, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this project? Please.
James T.G., Woods Hole Boat Sales, thank you.
Well, with that endorsement as
I
well.
had to make a presentation.
No, that's been determined with our report that we received from staff.
Okay, good.
You didn't say anything wrong? No, absolutely. Is there any other comments? Seeing none, I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is 96 Chappaquot Road, West Falmouth, Mass., for permission to vista prune.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 in the state and bylaw with the resource area boundaries not conformed.
So moved.
Second.
That would be Mary's motion, Russell's second. At this point in time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to talk about this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Continued request for determination of applicability. First up is 207 Coonamessett Circle, Hatchville, Mass., for permission to vista prune.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting an additional continuance until February 18th so that they can meet on site, and a permission letter has not been sent in from the association.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
That would be Mary's motion, Russell's second. Any comment from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is 201 Coonamessett Circle, Hatchville, Mass., for permission to vista prune.
Same comments, Mr. Chairman. They're requesting a continuance to February 18th, have not had an opportunity to meet on site, and have not received the letter from the association.
So moved.
Second. That'd be Mary's motion. Michael's second. Any comment on that project from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next, we move on to request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First on the agenda tonight is 1 Starfish Lane, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise the landward portion of the existing house and rebuild with a larger footprint to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool, install native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with BSS Design. I prepared this plan for the Learys. Property on Bourne's Pond, fronted by a fairly wide the salt marsh. Bourne's Pond is in flood zone elevation, it's AE elevation 14. Ground slopes up from the flood zone, from the marsh rather. Steeper than 10 to 1 through this area. So the first line I've drawn in here, the solid line in red there is the flood zone, which is also the top of the coastal bank. The slope does continue further up, but it's less than 4 to 1 slope. So it's not a coastal bank any longer. We do have the A zone 100 foot from the salt marsh in this location. And then further up, the A zone from the top of the coastal bank, 50-foot A zone. The coastal bank touches another resource area, and then 50 feet further inland from that is the B zone from the coastal bank, which runs through the back of the house. The house is partly in the A zone of the coastal bank, but it's outside of the A zone of the salt marsh. The landward part of the house here is to be raised and rebuilt in roughly the same size, but slightly larger. It's 210 square feet larger, in 210 square feet within the B zone, I should say. That's the heavier brown area here. So that doubled to 420 square feet of mitigation plantings, which we have shown down here, closest to the resource area. The septic system was upgraded, and there's a new leaching facility and tank and leaching back here, but the project wasn't quite finished, and there is a remaining cesspool out in this location. We didn't exactly locate it, but the owner said it's in that location, and that's just to be crushed in and filled and then revegetated in the location, and then the piping will be fixed inside the house so that all the flow will go out to the newer septic system in the back. That is the proposal. Take questions.
Jen?
Tom, you're proposing to remove any trees?
There are 3 trees here which would have to be removed. They're in the B zone. 3 pine trees, a 12, a 16, and a 18 right here. They're not marked to be.
Marked on the plans to be removed?
They're not marked on the plan to be removed, but they're between the house and the limit of work.
Yeah.
They are to be removed, yes.
Okay. And your construction access is where?
That has to come in through, what's it called now? This house has its address on Starfish Lane, but it has a dirt road coming in from the back, which is, it comes in through a Crowell Road in that way. There's parking.
You're coming in over the septic?
Yes. It's an existing, people drive over that now.
Okay. So if I make a finding that your construction access is limited to this area, that's okay?
Well, obviously, they'll have to get in, I think, from Starfish Lane to do the cesspool work. However, they're
I'm
gonna,
worried about the trees in Zone B.
yes, but
You know what I mean?
access will be from there. They can do, there's parking on Starfish Lane for people, but
But your
the
construction access
access,
for the building is
Yes.
gonna be from back here.
yes.
So, okay, and are you proposing to mitigate for those 3 trees being removed?
I don't have it here, but it says, I was realizing just tonight that that would have to be mitigated.
Yeah, so you
by
probably
3
have to
trees.
get into 4. 3 for the ones being removed and 1 for your mitigation? Your take?
Okay,
Okay, that's it,
4 native trees.
thank you.
Mike?
No questions?
Russ?
No questions at this time.
Mary?
The redirection of the plumbing, that's strictly inside the house?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
Will?
Tom, the name of that road is Kroll Road?
Crowell Road comes in, I'm trying to think if it changes name in there, but it's Crowell Road, yes, and
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
that's the access.
All right, thank you.
I'm curious, you're redirecting the plumbing in the house.
Yep, yes.
Because, is this system existing?
In the rear,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, but they're gonna abandon this. What's connected to the cesspool now?
I think, I was talking, the architect said, I think that there's maybe 1 bathroom or something. I mean, most of it's in there, but of course, a lot of what was connected to the new system was in the back part of the house is being torn down.
Okay, so they were using the 2 systems at once.
They're using both now, but only, I
Okay.
think, 1 bathroom goes to the old one.
I'm clear now,
So that's gonna go out the back,
with the flow.
go with the flow.
Outstanding. I have no other comments at this time. Russ, did you want to revisit anything?
All right, this morning.
Read the file number.
Yes, 4081.
If we have no further inquiries about this, we entertain a motion.
Move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
You were at Starfish Lane.
Open the public.
I will, now that we have a motion on the table. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for this.
Upside down.
Before we vote, is there anyone? Motion by Russ? No, Mary and Russell second. Sorry about that. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this project? Come up, please.
My name is Mary Louise Botello. We're butters to this project. We live on 3 Starfish Lane, and our parcel does abut it, and we are for it, and we're here to support the lorries.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It makes it a little easier on us when we're, to know that good neighbor type of thing is existing. Thank you.
We do have a question. Should we talk with the staff about the species and location of the trees?
That would be,
Correct.
Just administrative.
Yeah.
that would be administrative. Yes. That is a big yes. So now we have, anyone else in the audience care to comment on this project? Seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you. All right, moving on, we have 46 Point Road, North Falmouth, for permission to rebuild seasonal stairs, construct an 11-foot square patio, remove an existing stone wall, and build a new realigned wall, realign the path to the riprap stairs, remove and realign driveway, install permanent irrigation system on landward side of house, mitigation plantings, conduct resource area buffer, restoration, and associated clearing, excavating, and grading.
BSS Design. And with me, Dan Celine, Corey Celine Landscape Architects, and Teresa Sprague, Blue Flax Design. I'll start out the explanation of the project. Teresa, did you want to give me the numbers? We have some of the color copies didn't get into the filing. So we have some of those here.
Thank you.
Sort of the existing conditions, maybe hard to understand.
Thank you.
The plan I just gave out, the 8.5 by 11, is actually just a small part of the plan we filed. Last year, we filed an RDA so they could add a small balcony on the west side of the house in that location. Handed that out now, as you can see clearly what the existing conditions are on the water side of the house. This house on the end of Point Road, Nye's Neck, fronts on Wild Harbor. Has the water body there, Wild Harbor, has a flood zone, a velocity zone, elevation 18, which comes up onto the site. And there's also a riprap, there's a concrete seawall and stone in front of it, which was there since before 1975. It shows on the 1975 town topography. And there are some seasonal wooden stairs so people can get over that stone down to the water. The house on the property was built about 1978, around the beginning of the FEMA and the Wetland Protection Act. The velocity zone that I mentioned does come up, and it right about the front of the house in this location, cuts through the front of the house, right through there. Again, on here, I have a heavy red solid line. That's the top of the coastal bank, where the slope is steeper than 10-to-1. And there's a dashed line on there, which is the A zone of the coastal bank. That's the furthest landward A zone. And then the B zone from the coastal bank is landward of the house. And that's the furthest landward B zone also. The area directly around the house and on the street side of the house is all, it's ornamental plantings, except there's a grove of cedar trees here that kind of limbed up some. The area seaward of the lawn, probably at one time was a nice native vegetated buffer, and now has a lot of bittersweet, I guess mainly bittersweet as far as invasives. Teresa will go more into that. Generally, the proposal is to, what Teresa will explain is the vegetation management plan of this area between the lawn and the top of the seawall to remove the invasive plants, control them, let the seed bank exhaust itself, and replant with native shrubs and grasses. The heavier green area is to be presently lawn, which is mitigated with native shrubs at the appropriate time, timed with the vegetation management plan, not immediately. The mitigation is required because of some landscape work that we want to do on here. I can run through them briefly. There'll be 3 stone stoops along the front side of the house, here, here, and here. This one is partly under the balcony that was approved under the RDA, so part of that area doesn't count toward new impervious surface. 11-foot square patio in this area, part of it too is under that balcony, so not all of it counts toward new impervious surface. There's a wall, and the reason I gave you this drawing, you can see it better. The existing wall runs around that southeast corner of the house, and it's that wall that I want to rebuild in a more, we call it geometric or formal fashion. Put it back together a little better in a line like this with a circular fire pit at the corner. There'll also be a wall. The area under this, there's an existing deck right here, it's up on the one-story up area on that slope, so there'll be a stone wall running through here and over, which will retain that as a level area rather than the sloping area, and then the lawn will slope down from that area down to this lawn area. In addition, on the landward side of the house, there's now a circular driveway coming around like this. So this part of the driveway will be removed, so there should be one driveway coming in and out and a turnaround this way. And you'll get a lot of people turning through the driveway. It's hard to know what the cul-de-sac is and what's the driveway. But anyway, this driveway will be removed. Some of that is in the B zone right here. So there's 707 square feet of driveway and a little bit of walk, impervious surface reduction in that area. So those front steps will be realigned. And also, as part of this mitigation and vegetation management, this pathway will be slightly realigned, and these steps, which are seen better days, just be rebuilt, and they're seasonal again, so be fastened to the seawall and down to some of the stones, and then pulled out up the path in the winter, or when even in the summer if a hurricane is approaching. The part about the irrigating the lawn, there's a landscape, there's a mound of some sort right here. And this mound, this part is out of your jurisdiction, but just to explain it, this mound will be leveled out and the driveway will be removed, and most of this area, aside from a few planting beds, will become lawn. And they would like to put in an irrigation system on the landward side of the house. That's a consideration. Some of it, this small bit right here, would be within the B zone of the coastal bank. But again, we're asking that we can have a permanent irrigation system on the upland side of the house. I can run through the mitigation calculations. I know it's probably kind of confusing. Up at the mitigation calculations, I've on the right-hand side below the locust map, I've itemized all the different areas. Come up with a B zone. A zone is what's right. In the A zone, I have 195 square feet increase of mitigation of impervious surface. Triple would be 585 square feet of mitigation required. In the B zone, there's an increase of 329 square feet of mainly from the driveway. And that will require 658 square feet of mitigation. We have proposing 1,257 square feet of mitigation. And then there's a little area where there's bits and pieces here and there, where I have it up at the top of the page. because you probably wouldn't understand what I'd written there, but on the south side of the house, I have 1,052 square feet of planting. On the east side of the house, 589 square feet, and some other numbers. But then I've subtracted on the east side by where the cedar trees are, there's 244 square feet of that that's within 10 feet of the house, so we're not counting that toward mitigation. And I took out the 144 square feet that was already mitigation planting as part of the RDA. And it took anyway, I come up with 1,257 square feet. I can go over that more if you have questions about that, but we do have 1,257 square feet of mitigation planting. And outside of your jurisdiction, I would just say that up on this lawn, there's another 700 square feet of reduction of impervious surface. That's what's going on the whole site. I'll hand it over to Teresa to talk about the vegetation management that she proposes to do.
For the record, Teresa Sprague, Blue Flax Design. I just handed everyone a color copy so that you can follow along with the key. I know sometimes the black and white copies are hard to read because we draw lines in color. Basically, existing condition on the site, the invasive species management area shown in green and yellow totals approximately 6,900 square feet. The majority of the shrub and vine vegetation in here is Asiatic bittersweet with some rugosa rose. I've shown some pictures in case you weren't able to get out there before the snow fell. But this is really what we're looking at, and everything that you're seeing tinged in red here is fruiting bittersweet. As we head further south onto the coastal bank, the bittersweet thins out a bit, so it continues, and we've got actually a healthy stand of bayberry, and there's some American beach grass on the coastal bank. And existing trees in the bank area and in the buffer zone include eastern red cedar and Japanese black pine. The goals and objectives obviously are to improve existing wildlife habitat function and value within the coastal bank and buffer zone, as well as to enhance and ensure the continued function and stability of the coastal bank and buffer zone area as per the Mass Wetlands Protection Act and Falmouth Wetlands regulations. The goals and objectives will be accomplished through the selective management of invasive species and non-native aggressive species. So we are proposing in this area to remove the rugosa rose as well as the bittersweet. Oftentimes we leave the rugosa rose behind. It's non-native, it's aggressive, but it's not particularly detrimental to the area. However, in this case, the bittersweet is so intertwined with the rose that it makes sense to just clear the whole area out and start from scratch. We'll also be obviously restoring native vegetation, including shrubs and ground cover, to protect and improve the ecological integrity and wildlife habitat value of the area. The proposed project will not destroy or permanently alter any portion of the coastal bank or the buffer zone, will not have any adverse effect on the bank's ability to prevent storm damage and flooding. This bank does not act as a sediment source. It is revetted. So unfortunately, it doesn't act as a sediment source. We're not proposing any coastal engineering structures on the bank. There's no priority or estimated habitat per NHESP mapping. So overall, the proposed project will enhance and protect the functions of the bank and the buffer zone. In the restoration area, we're proposing 341 shrubs, including bayberry, Virginia rose, beach plum, sweet fern, potentilla, lowbush blueberry, and fragrant sumac. And in addition to that, we're also proposing to replant one white oak tree that will need to be moved because of the proposed relocation of the driveway. That, of course, is in the new zone. The mitigation area, as Tom pointed out, is 1,257 square feet. In this area, we're proposing 155 shrubs, including sweet fern, lowbush blueberry, potentilla, and fragrant sumac, and bayberry. And the mitigation area has been designed to be contiguous with the restored buffer zone. So we have an improved and increased buffer zone between the top of Coastal Bank and Welland. Invasive management is outlined on page 7 of the land management plan that we've submitted. Again, a mix of selective herbicide treatment along with mechanical and hand removal will be used to manage the invasive species and the rugosa rose throughout the project area. We'll start with a pre-treatment, give that time to translocate, come in and remove the invasive species. Once we've reached 80% control, which we would expect in this case to be within the first season after management, we would begin replanting the area. And obviously mitigation planting would be completed as soon as the construction on the site is completed and it's safe to plant. Temporary irrigation within the A and B zone on this side will be required while plants are establishing. For the first 2 to 3 growing season, once plants are established, irrigation would be removed, so there'll be no permanent irrigation on that side of the house. So I think with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the mitigation or restoration portion of the project.
Are we done with the entire presentation?
All right. Sure.
My name is Dan Soline. I'm a landscape architect with Horiichi Soline. Tom and Teresa have already addressed, I think, the most critical conservation issues which exist within the resource area, I guess, and within the A zone, where a very substantial area, I guess almost 7,000 square feet of the property will be replanted with native vegetation, and the lawn will be reduced by about 1,200 square feet, I believe. Our role has been to essentially master plan the renovation of the whole property, working closely with Teresa in the coordination of the work to the south of the house. Our work has also included the landscaping of the front of the house, which is a different scene altogether from the back. The entire south side of the house and the east and west sides are essentially native, with very small areas of ornamental plants that are essentially foundation plantings. But the front of the house will be more of a ornamental, classic, sort of Cape Cod, ornamental seaside garden, landscape, which our clients, wanted, and then of course the removal of the driveway. I don't know that I need to really get into the specific plants. They're on the planting plan, the ornamental plants that we propose to use in that area. There'll be a wall that will be installed along the driveway to just mark the edge of the property, and then essentially a broad sweep of flowering plants. I think that really covers it. Thank you, and I guess all three of us here are here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Ken?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tom, is that patio moving closer to Zone A than the present primary structure? That would be yes.
No, because it's moving closer to the zone A in that direction, but there's a deck. We're 31 feet from the deck to the top of the coastal bank in that location. And this distance, I can measure it. It's the deck is 31 feet to the top of the coastal bank down there, and the patio is 45 feet from the top of the coastal bank.
And see it wrapping up. I'm going to have to suggest the board stay consistent with their no irrigation within your jurisdiction, especially in Wild Harbor,
Especially what?
in Wild Harbor. So I would like to see the irrigation stay outside the commissioner's jurisdiction. And my only other questions, Teresa, you stated in your presentation that you have 341 shrubs going in.
Yes.
Your plan has 496 total, added it twice.
Does that include the mitigation shrubs? I have to admit, I
It's the
had Amy
plan,
add
yes.
these up.
What was that?
Whatever's on the plan is correct. I had Amy quickly add these up for me before I came out to present
Okay,
tonight, so.
so it's going
I
to be the number that's on the plan?
Yes.
Okay. A little bit more structure. They're really low-growing plants, the sweet fern, the blueberry. I'd like to see a little bit more structure in there.
Yeah.
You only have about 70 to, 426. 70 of shrubs that have some sort of, that are higher than like 3 feet. So I'd like to see that plant list modified to give it a little bit more robust.
Okay.
Okay?
So within this area here, we've got some Virginia rose, but you'd like to see a little bit more planting. We have Virginia rose planting.
You have 12 Virginia rose on your plan.
Yeah.
For 6,900 square feet of removal of
Okay.
invasives, so just
Sure.
modify that
Yep,
a
absolutely.
bit, take a look at it.
Yep,
Um,
we can do that.
Thank you. And that's it for right now.
Mike,
No questions?
Russ,
On the stairway,
Oh, yeah, the stairway.
that's gonna be removable?
Yes.
Kind of a large structure, it's gonna be awful heavy to, I mean, your methodology, it looks like it's one stringer, you know what I mean? Stringers are all one piece all the way down.
Yeah, Jeff drew this, and he said it's gonna be heavy. I mean, it's, I don't know, like what,
Yeah,
like what Tom said, I mean, it might be a bar and get a come-along and
But then-
tow it up by, but it's,
can't make that two pieces, huh?
I think it'd be tough to make it two pieces, because of the integrity of the structure. It's about,
if I may interject this for a moment. It's going to be heavy, and if it's in 2 pieces, you can really do it it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's just a mending point, somewhere's on that middle. I hate telling an engineer how things should be built.
it's okay, I'm a surveyor, not an engineer.
Well, it's not that complicated to make something that's 2-piece. Myself, I'd probably still stay 1 piece and just have a roller. The Egyptians did a lot of big things, and you can move heavy, but just do it smart.
I think it could be with a roller like they have for boats even, just 2 wheels. You get a lot of that.
Yeah, it's something that,
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that if they do it once and they're like, oh, then the next season, oh man, we gotta do that again, and then, hey, let's just leave it, you know what I mean? That's what I worry about.
And probably will have a maintenance crew taking care of things, and they'll be paid to remove it.
where, in the path.
Okay.
Right?
That's what they had said, was in the path.
And,
Put an anchoring point up there.
that, the wall, I guess that's probably the same square footage as it was existing, it's just being relocated, the stone wall, Tom?
The wall, it's,
It looks like it's about this,
the wall is bigger. I have it under the mitigation calculations, the existing wall, and then there's a concrete, where's that, a concrete piece over under the deck, and then there's 89 square feet, and then the proposed walls and stoops
oh,
are
I get it.
187. So
I got it.
the wall is bigger.
Okay.
It's counted in the calculations.
Okay. And as far as the irrigation goes, I don't have a problem with it. And that's it.
I think I tend more towards Jen's view of things with respect to the irrigation. For Teresa, in the area that's green and heavily invaded, I was not able to see the site before snow, so I'm not clear on conditions, but there's a noticeable clustering of the plants, and I'm just wondering about the way that they're laid out and keeping back the invasives. Is that going to,
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously.
will it be adequate?
I think it will be adequate, yeah. We're trying to create a dense thicket area in here for wildlife habitat value. But I think, and there's clearly going to be a significant seed bank. There'll be a lot of follow-up selective treatment in here, but we've managed these kinds of projects for many years now, and we can come in and selectively treat. Yep. I feel confident with that.
Thank you. And I actually have a question for you, Dan. It involves the cedar trees to be moved. And this is really more just about the record that we have. I realize that the cedar trees are, other than the one in the driveway, are outside jurisdiction.
Right. Yeah.
But the site, Tom's plot plan doesn't specify how many of the trees are going to be moved and where to. And your plan, it looks like 3 are to be moved here to this location, but the schedule says 2. And
Okay.
again, it's just for housekeeping.
Well, we can clean that up, with a subsequent plan. No problem.
What is the plan?
Well, our intention is to preserve all the existing cedars that are healthy and in good condition, and to find new homes for them.
Okay, so it would be
And
4.
so if there are 4 that we can salvage, they'll be spaded up and moved, or basketed, and then relocated on the property.
Okay.
So-
Actually, is the one in the driveway a candidate for that also? Or
Pardon me?
the one in the driveway, or in the driveway to be? Would that be a candidate for moving also, or? is
I
that
think
just-
it may already be gone. I'm not sure. I need to check that, actually. The 12-inch oak tree? Is that the one
Oh,
you're
that's right.
talking about?
Yes, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that would be a stretch, to move.
Yeah, no,
to
I'm
move,
sorry, I was.
So, the cedars are along the east and south edge of the island,
Mm-hmm.
right here, so. And I'll review that on site, and we'll make, a revision of our plan.
Great, thank you. Almost up, thank you.
Okay. Tom, like I said, the stairway, I think that after a season of pulling something heavy, they might decide just to chop it and deal with it in the future, as long as your anchoring points are substantial. And that's going to be in the upland. Mike made a comment about that still being in the area. So maybe if it's, where specifically you're going to put it, if there's an anchoring point, so as to just keep it from going where it shouldn't. That's all I got on that. Your management plan, I enjoyed, I'm not a great reader, but I enjoy the simplicity of a lot of this. And then at the bottom of page 11, I highlighted that. Just how, it delegates responsibility about the herbicides and such. Trained individuals only, and these are verbiage that I really enjoy, because somebody has to, be under the thumb for that. And that's a really good thing. I have great confidence in the project when I see things like that. And then Dan, God bless you for getting that driveway out of there. That's a horrible setup. These poor people, that's just a cluster.
Right.
And this is, I think this allows development of the site, but also returns more of it to a habitat, even though it's out of jurisdiction. It's going to be a whole lot nicer, not just aesthetically.
Much more cohesive, you know, it's,
Yep.
right now it's divided and really not useful for digging.
Yes. So, if there's enough information, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to see a revised landscape plan and restoration plan unless the board is comfortable with the species that are proposed.
Could we condition it? I could have a revised landscape plan to you before next week. What I'll do is I'll simply swap out some of the lower species and add some more bayberry and beach plum, just to give it a little more height and structure.
Enough that'll make me happy, and I won't have to call and say some more.
I can set up an appointment and come in and meet with you.
Friday.
Okay, perfect.
That's fine, that's fine. We can close it. Teresa, come see me on Friday, we'll talk about the numbers and then submit the revised plan to me next week. I'm fine with that. I don't want them all swapped out, I just want to see a little bit
Yeah,
more
a little bit
structure.
more, yeah, clustering. And just to vindicate Amy or pull her out from underneath the bus, the total is 496. It was 341 in the restoration area,
Okay,
155
you know, and
in
I
the
had
mitigation.
gone over there and I'm like, oh, she just said three, and I'm looking
No,
at the
yeah,
numbers.
so
and
the
over
total
here,
is
like
496.
adding it up, and I'm like, nope, maybe I missed one. No,
No.
it's 496.
No, you're right.
Okay.
Yep, okay.
Nope, so that, okay.
Perfect, thank you.
That worked.
Now,
Moved it.
with all that being said, and including the caveat of staff, with the meeting to be held about the revised plan,
Excuse me?
with the caveat of you reviewing a revised plan,
With Teresa
specifically with
on
Teresa.
Friday. Yep.
Move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second. We have Mary's motion, and Mike's Russell's second. There you go. You beat me to it. Is there anyone in the audience at this time that would like to comment on this project? Seeing none, I'm going to be calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you. Next, we have a continuance of 342 Acapesca to February 18th. That brings us to the next, which is 6 Pondlet Place, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a detached garage and living space above, relocate the outdoor shower, install dry well, new Title V sewage disposal system, and with the old septic tank to be abandoned in place, gravel driveway, utilities, mitigation plantings, conduct resource area buffer restoration and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen. Good evening. Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Michael Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant, Jill Park. Jill is here tonight. She's the property owner. I'm also joined tonight by Teresa Sprague of Blue Flax Design and Bob Ahmed, counsel for the applicant. We're here tonight asking permission to do some work at the property known as 6 Pondlet Place. 6 Pondlet Place is a lot containing 15,000 square feet of land. There's an existing single-family dwelling, driveway, and typical appurtenances to a residential dwelling on the property. The property is very densely vegetated in areas that aren't already altered by the house or walkways or driveway. If you were able to go to the site and look at it, you probably got a good appreciation for that. The property is bordered on the north side by an unnamed pond. There's a bordering vegetated wetland at the base. There's a sloping landform that rises up to very close to the house that meets the definition of a coastal bank. The coastal bank's shown on the plan. The lot is also in land subject to coastal storm flowage. And the applicant purchased the property, and she has hopes that she can have a single car garage approved that would have space above it that she would use as a sewing room. Right now, there is no garage, so we're proposing to construct a garage that would be 16 by 24, which would be slightly oversized, so there'd be a little bit extra storage. There'd be a stairway that leads up to the sewing room above, and then there would be walkways that lead to the house. In addition to the garage, we're proposing to upgrade a failed septic system. The septic system consists of a 1,000-gallon tank and some leaching trenches that are within the 100 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland. It has failed. The new system leaching component would be placed out by the street, outside 100 feet from all wetlands, including the coastal bank, and a new tank would be installed just next to the existing tank. The old tank would just be pumped and abandoned in place. When we were consulting with the applicant, we were in a dilemma in that there is very little area on the property to offer mitigation planting. We had some preliminary meetings with Jen and got some advice from her. At first, we thought that we were going to be faced with a problem in not having room to actually provide the mitigation planting for the impervious surfaces. But after reviewing the site further and discussing it with the consultants involved and the owner, we came up with some innovative ways to actually reduce existing impervious surfaces first and convert those to Falmouth lawn, and that helped us gain credit so that the overall required mitigation planting for the increases was offset by the credits we were going to get for removing some impervious surfaces. So in my application package, I submitted 2 smaller exhibit plans that just show the areas pre and post project shaded so that you can see the differences. But the net result of that is tabulated on the plan. There's actually a net decrease in the no disturbance zone A, a significant net decrease because of the removal of some of these brick walkways and patio areas. And that net decrease was helped offset the net increase by the garage that's in the B zone, not an A zone. So we're reducing in A, increasing in B, but because of the offset in A, the overall requirement for mitigation planting is 380 square feet. Now there's a plan, a very comprehensive plan by Blue Flax Design in the application package that shows the mitigation planting. There's virtually no room in A to provide the mitigation planting. But the regulations at FWR 10.18 do allow, if the A zone is fully vegetated, then the mitigation planting can be placed in B. It's preferred to put it in A, but if there's no room in A, you can put it in B. So on our plan, it's shown in this pink color, and the specifics of it are on the Blue Flax plan, which Teresa can go through. In addition to that mitigation planting, there's a very significant and comprehensive vegetation management plan. There's significant invasives, and Blue Flax has a comprehensive and very specific plan on how to deal with that, including a lot of new native plantings being introduced to the site. So we are introducing a garage structure to the property. We're upgrading the septic system, and the invasive management and added mitigation planting, I think, result in an overall significant improvement to the current conditions. With that, I'll turn it over to Teresa, and then we'll be available for questions.
Hi again, Teresa Sprague, Blue Flags Design. I'm going to start with photos of the site because I'm presuming that everyone was not able to get out there before the snow. And of course, now all the leaves are off the trees. So what I'd like to actually do is sort of just walk through the site and describe it through the photographs so you can see what I first experienced when I visited this site. In addition to these photos that I'm showing, these are all included on pages 4, 5, and 6 of the land management plan. So you can see some smaller photos, smaller versions of the photos, and some additional photos that I'm basically showing here. So as Mike described, the 15,000 square foot property lies to the north of Salt Pond. The dwelling sits in the northern half of the property. Parking is in the southern portion of the lot, which is outside conservation jurisdiction. There are shell walkways that lead to the front and side doors of the house. There's a vegetable garden that borders the pathway leading from the parking area to the house. One significant issue is this Norway maple and this large spruce tree that are very close. This is the front door, the front entrance to the house. So if you're looking on the map, this is the front entrance. The Norway maple, and then Mike has it listed as a pine, it's a spruce tree here. And what's actually happening is these roots are so large and the trees are so close to the house that they're literally heaving the concrete step, making access through the front door dangerous and almost impossible. The concrete's actually rocking and tilting, so it's clearly unsafe. Invasive vegetation is literally swallowing this entire property and this house. The invasive vegetation that we saw on site includes border privet, English ivy, shrub honeysuckle, vine honeysuckle, Asiatic bittersweet, Japanese barberry, black swallowwort, porcelain berry, Norway maple, and then there's a shrub, small tree shrub species that's found on this site that is native to New England but not to Massachusetts, and it seems to be taking over the coastal bank area, and that's devil's walking stick. Invasive shrubs and vines have really taken over the area to the east of the Shell Pathway, and I'll flip this around now. So to the east of the Shell Pathway, through this entire area here, where the garage is proposed. English ivy and Asiatic bittersweet vines are smothering the trees. We are proposing to remove some trees from this area. There's some photographs shown on page 6 of the English ivy and the Asiatic bittersweet vines, literally just strangling these trees. You almost can't tell that there are trees in here. The deck extending off the west side of the house over here faces the neighbor at 4 Falmouth Place. And this image here shows the vegetation. The invasive vegetation is literally right up to the edge of the deck. And those of you close the western side of the property right here. Let's see. It's sort of just a repeat. Invasive and aggressive shrubs and vines, they've colonized the area approximately 5 feet to the west of the deck. Shrubs and invasive and ornamental develop an existing seating area, which is currently the only unvegetated area on this entire lot, which is located right here. It is shown in this photograph here. So it's currently covered with mulch, and there are a few ornamental herbaceous, some daylilies in this area, completely surrounded by invasive and ornamental vegetation. To the north of the house, there's a bulkhead, attached shed, exposed outdoor shower. They're going to be moved. The brick walkway currently provides access through this area. As Mike described, the brick walkway will be removed and replaced with lawn. Directly to the north of the walkway, the property is completely covered with aggressive and invasive vegetation. And that would be down through here. There was no visible native vegetation observed on the coastal bank in this area. So we crawled in as deeply as we could and found none. Again, shrub honeysuckle, porcelain berry vine honeysuckle, and bittersweet are the main species thriving along with the devil's walking stick. There's no ground cover layer whatsoever in the coastal bank. So, what we're proposing to do, Mike discussed the mitigation, 380 square feet. So currently, the area within conservation jurisdiction, the only area that's currently unvegetated, we're proposing to plant with 40 shrubs, including sweet fern, potentilla, inkberry, holly, and highbush blueberry. We're proposing to move the current seating area outside of conservation jurisdiction so that they have some outdoor seating area space, but it will be moved outside of the zone. So it will no longer be within conservation jurisdiction, so the entire property will be proposed. The restoration area is approximately 6,500 square feet. We're proposing to remove 7 trees, mainly due to the garage installation and the fact that they're in such severe decline, and then the Norway maple, the invasive species, and the spruce that's simply growing too close to the house. We're proposing to replant 13 trees, white pine, American holly, eastern red cedar, serviceberry, and eastern redbud. We are proposing to transplant a couple of trees on site, and those are noted on the plant specifications with a small t. So we are proposing to transplant 4 eastern red cedars that are currently located at the driveway edge within an inch of the buffer zone. We're proposing to transplant 1 white pine that's currently located outside of conservation jurisdiction and then into the B zone. And in addition to that, there's 1 existing American holly by the house that we'd like to transplant onto the coastal bank. We'll be adding more eastern red cedar, amelanchier, serviceberry, redbud, and holly to the site. In the restoration area, we're proposing almost 300 shrubs, including lowbush blueberry, highbush blueberry, sweet fern, inkberry holly, plethora, winterberry holly, bayberry, potentilla, arrowwood viburnum, and oak leaf hydrangea. So basically what we're trying to do is provide improve wildlife habitat value, make sure that the area is stable, but also provide a little bit of space for Mrs. Park to actually breathe. So we're trying to move the vegetation away from the house a little bit. So by doing that, by removing the existing shell walkway and the brick patio back here, we have an opportunity to add a fescue mix of grass. Again, once it's established, low maintenance, low water. And then in addition to that, we're going to open up the space as we move towards the coastal bank and plant really a thicket of lowbush blueberry. And then as we move down the bank, we'll be planting bayberry, summer sweet, winterberry holly, and some of the trees that you're seeing. As we move around towards the western side of the house, the invasive vegetation will be removed and the area will be replanted with arrowwood viburnum. And the goal there is to, again, remove the invasive vegetation, leave a little bit of space between the vegetation and the deck so that there's some room to access and circle around the house just for maintenance purposes, but also provide some screening for the neighbors to the west. Trees will be planted, white pine, eastern redbud will be planted again to provide some screening, and then the mitigation area will be planted with 40 shrubs, which I've already described. So this is a significant invasive species management project. This area is thoroughly degraded. The house is literally being swallowed by invasive species. I believe some pruning was done just to clear some of the vegetation off of the deck before Mrs. Park purchased the property, so she could literally see it. But that's how close. I think the importance of removing that Norway maple so that we can provide safe access and a strong visual line to the front door so that people coming in actually see that there's a door here that provides Mrs. Park with safe access to the house is significant. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions. We can certainly walk through the invasive species management plan. The goals and objectives are listed on page 7. We're, again, protecting wildlife habitat value and function, stability and function of the coastal bank and buffer zones, creating safe access for the property owner into and around the dwelling. And the other part of it is an aesthetic, but it's really important to the site, and that's that the property feels welcoming and comfortable for the property owners. It's a maze when you walk in there right now. Invasive species management, again, is outlined in the plan. We'll start with our pre-treatment. This will be a mechanical removal project. Literally, we will be removing the vegetation with a mini excavator. There's very little to nothing at this point. Anything that's ornamental that we'd like to transplant out on the street will be dug up, some hydrangeas and removed. Thanks.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes. Mike, I don't know what stakes Mark saw, but you didn't get to stake the site because of the storm, correct?
Right.
And I'm sorry, I missed your email last week. I was out of town. And I've been playing catch up. This is a fairly easy project, so I don't have a problem with this. The next one is a much larger project and will probably have to be staked out and to adequately look at it, but this is a fairly simple box garage project, so if the board's comfortable, that's fine. Teresa, I understand, I know when Mark was looking at this as well, he had concerns with the amount of blueberry you're putting close to the deck, but I understand the goal you're trying to give some breathing room to that deck. I do understand that.
Yep.
And you do have plans with a little bit more structure.
On the bank.
On the bank,
Yes.
so I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Those are my only comments.
thanks.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, what's the difference between a rinse station and outdoor shower? I have no other questions.
I believe it's a rinse station.
It is a rinse station.
It's a rinse station.
Shower implies a drain.
Go ahead, Russ.
I'm all set. I'm good.
Mary?
The only thing that caught my eye in this really is the limit of work is really very close to the work. And just wondering how practical that is.
I can speak to that.
I think you're referring to over here.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
All right. So the main building, not the rinse station, is a garage, so it's a slab. There's a requirement to have a 4-foot excavation for a crosswalk footing only, not a full excavation. So this one area here, while close, can still be excavated and the limit of work will be preserved. Once you get maybe 5 or 6 feet away, it's absolutely no problem at all. But they can take care and with care and proper steps and only digging 4 feet into the ground, I don't see that as an issue. This is simply just basically a fence.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thought it was a shower.
Rinse station.
I'm all set now, thanks.
Well, welcome to Falmouth. This is a very, very active area, believe it or not. Across the street from you, this board had sat with the association on numerous times. And and it was quite a struggle to make sure that everybody, when you have that many players, to get everybody on the same page. This is a diamond in the rough. I know this area from working on other houses in there. Thank you on the presentation. I'm glad to see the septic going in and all these other appurtenances. Is there going to be a bathroom in the garage?
In the garage?
Yeah.
There will be a powder. Yeah. That's why there's a 5.
If we have this discussion, I'm going to ask you to come up and identify yourself, please, just for the record.
Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Actually, I'll do it for you. I'm Jill Park, and I live at 6 Pond Lane. My understanding is, I just wanted a room up there. It couldn't be attached to the house. So then I said, can I just have a powder room up there? Because if I'm sewing, middle of the winter, And then they said they're gonna call it a bedroom. And I said, there's not gonna be a closet. And they said they didn't care, it was a bedroom and it needed to be a 5-bedroom septic. And I said, okay. So that's my understanding.
And that's how you covered it. Okay, thank you.
Just to follow up, yeah, there's 4 bedrooms in the house. It's not a bedroom, it's a sewing room, but the Board of Health would call it a bedroom, so we made the system have a 5-bedroom house. It's not intended to be a bedroom.
Thank you. If we have enough information,
Make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
Councilman Russell's motion, Mike's second. At this point, is there anyone in the audience who would like to discuss this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Next, we have continued request for a hearing under a notice of intent, and that's Ty Perini, Narragansett Harbor, North Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install a shellfish aquaculture grow-out site approximately 2 acres from the bottom, for the bottom culture of eastern oysters, bay scallops, and razor clams. Good evening.
I'm Ty Perini for the record.
Mr. Chairman, we continued this hearing for some information that Ty needed to get us, which was a letter from the harbor master and, or the director of Marine Environmental Services and Assistant Marine Environmental Services. That was provided to me by email.
Okay.
Okay. Your storm plan we needed to review, and that was done. What else, Ty? Did you have a DEP number? I think you did. And were we waiting for a letter from Natural Heritage?
Yes.
And we received that?
Yeah, I received that.
And so everything outstanding on Mr. Perini's application has been received.
Outstanding.
And also, I don't know if I need this or not, but I had the,
Fraser.
Greg Fraser, the town of Falmouth Marine and Environmental Services aquaculture site markings.
Markings, and that will be incorporated into your order of conditions. Okay? We're just going to say follow the guidelines that they've established for marking your grant. Okay?
Correct.
Outstanding. Well, now that we have all this information that has been submitted, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
That's Russell's motion, Mary's second. Any other discussion from the audience about this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay, Ty, what's going to
Yes.
happen is close the hearing. We're going to issue you an order within 21 days. Okay? So now it has to be, the person who issued the conditions within 21 days, so probably voted on the 18th. How it issues. Okay? And then we okay?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
Next, this is something that's
I
going to
don't
be
know. Maybe
discussed.
they already.
This is a request to amend the existing order of conditions, 11 Ottawa Lane, Falmouth, Mass. It's a request to amend the existing order to reduce the size of the house and relocate, to remove and relocate the swimming pool, driveway, install a drive court and retaining wall, catch basins, dry wells, reduce the mitigation plantings associated with clearing, grading, and excavating, grading, and landscaping. Before we open the hearing, there is some debate on the board as to open it up as an amendment. If it is not something that should be seen under an amendment, that if it is accepted as an amendment, that it wasn't staked, and other items have been brought up. So I want to open it up to the board as far as what was presented to us.
Mr. Chairman, if I can start, I understand that Mr. Barcelli was up against a severe weather event last week. It's understandable, but as the client may think it's unfair to them, it's also unfair to the board to try to review such a substantial project without it being properly staked in the field. The last one There's a little garage, I didn't have an issue with it. This one, and it's just the circumstances that it is. It's not, the client's fault, it's not Mr. Porcelli's fault, it's not this board's fault. It's just the circumstances we were up against last week. If you're comfortable looking at something like this without it being staked in the field, then that's the board's prerogative. It's also a substantial modification to the footprint that was originally proposed. We're now adding a pool, where afterwards, they were keeping the other little pool, so staff does have a few concerns with it. But again, I mean, it's the staking, nobody could have helped what happened last week, so. But again, it's unfair to ask this board to review the project without having on-the-ground knowledge.
Now, if I may, there was something else submitted to the file as far as,
Yeah, there was the plan we have shows no modification to Ottawa Lane. There was something submitted to us that does show a modification to Ottawa Lane, so I'm not even quite sure what's going on there. So,
Submitted by the applicant?
Butter.
submitted by an abutter. And that is questioned, that what was submitted by the abutter as a plan to show alteration of Ottawa Lane is not reflected on the plan that has been submitted to us for the amendment.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm not sure I agree with that. We submitted plans for the project, and part of the plan, to my knowledge, that you received included a small portion of Ottawa Lane, namely this area, beyond the driveways to the neighbor. The idea was to eliminate the driveway because it no longer was needed for our project and to do native planting. It seemed like a great idea. We didn't think it through as far as whether or not the abutter may or may not be in favor of that. We just assumed it was the right thing to do because it was no longer needed for driveway. So our plans do reflect that, and we expected tonight to have a conversation with you about it. And our mitigation calculations were prepared in a way that we were taking credit for it. Now, it wasn't on our lot, but it was within 100 feet of the wetland resources, and we have rights in Ottawa Lane, so we're here to talk about it. If you don't think we should be allowed to get a credit in Ottawa Lane for eliminating a driveway, then,
If I may, what I want to be clear about is if we're going to open the hearing. I want to see, I appreciate the explanation, I truly do. I want to know if it's the board's decision to, because it wasn't staked in the size of the project being the size that it is. And it is, it is definitely amended. There's a lot more to this than the original. I have been to that site so many times, I have a certain comfort level without it being staked, being familiar with that. But I'm not going to, that's one person on the board that's saying that. However, the scope of the project is more of what I'm getting a little hooked up on.
am I able to talk to them?
Yes,
about
please,
this?
that's all.
Well, I submitted a cover letter. This board fully reviewed this project as a notice of intent and issued an order of conditions. If you look at it the way we did, the area of alteration that you approved is actually less than what we're proposing. The house is different because a new owner came on the scene and hired an architect to change things. And the changes are actually dramatically better, and it's outlined in the request for amendment. And we made a decision collectively that it met the standards for an amendment because it wasn't getting larger, it wasn't moving closer to wetlands, it wasn't changing the project materially to a different use. It's a single-family dwelling. Yes, there's a new pool, but there's a dramatic improvement because the pool that exists right at the very top of the coastal bank is being eliminated, and the pool is proposed in a much better place. So when we looked at the whole overall scope of what we were doing, it was less impacted than what you've already approved. So that's why we made that decision.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just chime in as well. Pardon me, I've got a little bit of a cold, the downside of having 2 children in daycare. The plan for Ottawa Lane that was submitted was kind of a discussion plan.
Actually, we need your name for the record.
Kevin Clower from Falmouth Law Firm.
Thank you.
Here with the applicants tonight. The plan that was submitted regarding Ottawa Lane was more of a discussion plan that was submitted to the abutters as a means of saying, here's what the applicants were thinking of doing. They've since backed away from that, and that's not something they were going to be moving forward with tonight, which is why that wasn't submitted to the board directly.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the other reason that we thought it was more appropriate to do an amendment is that work is underway under the old order of conditions. The garage structure was demolished. The Blue Flex Design has embarked on the invasive the woodland maintenance and management plan. So it seems to be much more clean, if you will, to keep one DEP number and not have to issue a partial compliance for some work that was already done, and then have another order of conditions. So you still have authority to review under all the standards of wetlands regs and local regs. It just seemed like a simpler way to handle it. That was our thought process.
And I appreciate the explanation, and that's what I need for the board to have a comfort level on this, whether we are going to see it as an amendment. And then we'll cross any other hurdle after that. Yes, please.
My personal concern was the inability to really see the lot because I don't believe that I was involved in the previous review and order.
Right.
So I'm not familiar with it, and I didn't even know it wasn't staked. I couldn't get there myself. So, but I would like to see the lot. As far as whether it can be treated as an amendment, I tend to agree with Mike. I think that it makes sense because the scope is reduced in my view, it appears to be, but I don't feel comfortable evaluating it without being able to see it.
It's understood, and I think you understand why we didn't stake it.
Of course, yeah.
If this makes sense, we have a lot of people here, so if you were to hear it as an amendment, I'm hopeful that you will, and you allowed us to make our presentation and then continue the hearing and we'll stake it, and then you could. Plus, we have plans to submit a revised mitigation plan anyway. I don't see the benefit of, doing, if you're gonna hear it as an amendment, I'm getting distracted. So
No, I'm sorry, you're going to submit a revised mitigation plan?
Well, I started to talk about something I haven't really made a presentation, but in the beginning, I alluded to the fact that we thought it made sense to get a credit for the on Lane planting. So if you don't agree with us on that, we're gonna revise the plan and change the mitigation.
And again, I'm gonna back it up first. I wanna cross one hurdle at a time. I want the board to tell me, because I'm gonna be the guy in the gavel in just a couple minutes, because I don't wanna carry this on any further tonight without your help. Do we wanna listen to it as an amendment? I'm pull on the board.
I've spoken.
If I could, I'll make a statement and then I'll go. I've seen the property before. I agree with Mike that it's simpler. I think I have a hard time because when I did get there, there was nothing but snow. I don't know what I'm looking at. So I'm a little more comfortable with staying with the amendment. I'm okay, but I want to be sure. Mary's okay because she has not seen it. And there are only four of us here tonight, and I don't want to person.
Okay, and what I'm asking is I'm gonna poll you, would you see this as an amendment?
Yes.
Would you see this as an amendment?
No.
Would you see this as an amendment?
Yes.
Okay. I would see this as an amendment. So we have crossed that hurdle. We will see it as.
Let's go to the next one.
Now, the next one is, are we gonna ask for a continuance to have it staked?
Yes.
I would like to.
Yes.
We're gonna ask you to ask for a continuance to see it staked.
Yes, I understand that. Can I ask a
Now,
question?
the next hurdle is, do we want to have a presentation this evening to get the paperwork and all this, everything that's potentially in front of us? Do we want to review this tonight and during the continuance go out to the staking?
You can't guarantee, you don't even know when the snow's gonna melt. I
And-
find that I would discourage you to do that.
Could I make another point?
Please.
We have the bare minimum of a quorum here. So if we have the presentation and something goes wrong later on.
I'm comfortable with the quorum. What I want to make sure you're comfortable with, my thought process is if you were going to go forward as an amendment, there's some benefit and efficiency of using our time. If we were able to kind of vet the project, it's not sticked. Tell you what we're up to, show you what we want to do. There's probably other reasons that you might want to continue. We already mentioned one, continue it and then stake it, and you look at it and we come back. Or the other choice is to just continue it out of hand, not talk about anything, and then maybe find out after we stake it there were some things we could have addressed in between that require yet another. So I'm just trying to be as efficient.
And I can truly appreciate all that, and I'm trying to balance that right now. And that's why this has all been put out there. One of the things that administrator had made note of, we don't know when the snow's gonna melt. No, we don't. We could be getting another 4 feet before this project, you know. Nobody can tell what that weather's gonna be. So I'm of the mind, myself, I could hear this with, because we agree it can be an amendment, I'm willing to entertain a presentation this evening. And it's unique. It's not every week that we get 25 inches of snow. If this had been staked, we'd be listening to it already. If this and if that, I think they've recognized that we, boy, I'm just chewing on shoe leather here. I hate if we've had the consensus, it can be an amendment. I just hate to see time wasted. I believe you're going to end up having a continuance without a presentation. I don't know, am I getting that on the board. I'm just one guy here, you know, and I can't make a motion. I'm the chair, so I need a little assistance as far as what the rest of the board wants to do. I need a motion to do something so that we can either move forward. I just hate being stalled.
This conversation is from the applicant, and I'll make a motion.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, seeing as there's enough concern about it not being staked, I don't believe I just said seeing as, I don't think that's the right way to use the English language. Based on my observations of your concerns about the site possibly being easier to understand if staked, we could request a continuance so that we can stake it for you, but I'm not waiting for snow to melt. I'm going to stake it however I can in snow. I would just hope that, I don't know how much time you need to view it. Are you meeting in 2 weeks?
Are we meeting in 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're meeting every
Can we
time.
continue it for a week? I don't know that
Not
makes
a week.
sense.
The 18th, we won, how many did we continue to the 18th tonight? I think we only did one, right?
Two, but
To the
one was an RDA.
No, we only did one notice.
Right, that's,
So we could do this on the 18th, Mike, if you could get it staked out.
Well, I can stake it by next Wednesday, which is the 11th.
Yeah.
Snow or no snow, I'm going to stake it.
nuts.
And it's up
We're
to you
not
folks to
asking you to
go.
wait for the snow to
It's
melt.
up to you folks to get on your snowshoes and go look at it. There might be a few adjustments to the plan we want to make anyway.
That would be helpful, Mike, just get everything set and get it staked. It's, you know, like I said, it's not your fault, but, you know, you have to make sure the board has all their information.
When we receive, what,
So whatever revised plans you may or may not have in the works for your landscaping, please make sure we get those by next
Oh yeah,
Wednesday.
by the 11th. Yes.
Thank you.
Also-
I
Staked
appreciate
and
that.
plans by the 11th.
and in that set of plans, please, an approved, just a copy of the approved notice, right? So that we're not looking at existing conditions, but the approved notice, and
That you're
then
basing
the
your
plan?
amendment on.
the plan. Yeah,
Copies of the plans that you already approved.
Correct.
Correct.
Just so that any of the information that anybody could possibly need would be in that, so that it's a done deal.
If I can ask a question, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
The next hearing, we're going to have to revisit the question as to whether or not this is an amendment.
No.
No.
It is seen on
That's
it as an
already
amendment. That the majority of the board had spoken on that. We're seeing it as an amendment.
So I hereby request a continuance to the 18th of February.
Thank you, Mike.
At the request of the applicant, I move that we continue the hearing till February 18th.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, Mary's motion, Mike's second. Is there any comment in the audience about this project? Excuse me.
Hi, Maria Hickey Landscapes, and I'm speaking on behalf of Dr. Daniel Vlock, who's the direct abutter. And the one request that we would have would be for a detailed landscape plan that lists the species of trees and shrubs that are going to be planted. We have received a permit and had an order of conditions and planted our mitigation plans. And clearly, we want to make sure that the plantings that they put in do not have an adverse effect on the sunshine and the growing needs of our plants that are already there that are becoming established.
Do me a favor, let's bridge the gap. If they can get a copy of what your planting plan was, mitigation plan, so that they can have that and be aware of what possible needs you have. If you can get them a plan, so that they can
Sure.
reflect any adjustments in their plan as well.
Because our stuff is full sun, and on their plan, it's showing many trees and shrubs that would completely block the sunlight of our existing plants. And we have a 3-year monitoring period to keep our plants alive. So any sunlight that would be blocked would have an adverse effect. So we just want to make sure that when they're doing their planting plan, that they're not putting trees and plants right on that property line that would shade our plants.
And I think that's been recognized. And I think that a little swapping of plans would be appropriate.
Perfect.
Can you put that in writing so that we
Yes.
have that for the file?
You got it.
Your request that you just made,
You got it.
okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Yes, please.
Since we didn't, is the quorum you folks, or
That's it.
would it be?
That's it.
It's going to be us.
Thank you.
You know,
Well, you
unless,
didn't really open the hearing, you asked for a continuance.
you ask for a continuance if we have more people that night, but as it sits right now, I don't think anybody else is gonna be.
Mario.
Mario could, but plan on this.
But Mario would be a legit member
Yeah,
of
if
the quorum.
there's, if on the 18th, because we just had a continuance, it could go up to 5, or if John's back by then,
Yeah,
we could have more members that would be part of the quorum.
yeah, that's my, yeah.
Could be another night.
Yeah, but
Correct, there
but
could
plan
be.
on this. All right, what you see is what we got right now.
Did Mr. Poloni's child?
Pardon?
John has a kid.
Yes.
Yes, yes, he did. I want to thank the board right now, before we take the vote. This is good to have discussion and have it up front. And I hope the applicant appreciates the discussion that we've been having. With that, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. You're
Thank
welcome.
you guys.
Just put the high
Excellent.
Might
stakes.
take you up on that.
How much snow are we getting this Sunday?
Yes, he does.
What time?
I got stuck really bad on my own street last
Okay,
week.
so,
I can pick you up if you want. I got 4-wheel drive. I'll take you down.
yeah, we can,
We'll get you
It
there.
was the, the
Now we
first
have,
day, the first.
right, we still have a little bit of... Hello, hi there. We still have a little business, please. This is voting order conditions, 295 Quaker Road.
These guys.
The,
Yes, we have to vote that.
Yes, we do. That's the,
That's the block wall.
yes, it is.
The phased approach that Peter said to replace the failing timber wall at the beloved Old Silver Beach.
And I believe they said they were gonna keep an eye on that, engineer was gonna monitor this thing while
Yes.
it's
The
going
engineer's
down.
gonna have like almost an environmental monitor out there. One of the engineering department employees will be out on site. Mike, is that what you dropped off at my office, slid under my door the other day?
Yes, I do.
That's what I thought that was.
You know?
Mark was like, I don't know what that is. I go, I have a feeling I know. So,
Excuse me, one second. For those out in the hallway, if I can hear you, you can hear me, please move down. Thank you. Sorry.
God.
It's like a little rearview mirror, you know?
Now that the project has
driveway
been
There you go.
tightened up a bit, and engineering's gonna be on site, staff has less concerns with it than we did originally.
I think we have a good communication link now.
We
You know,
do.
we have accountability with our
Yeah.
own people.
I do want them to look at, and I will talk to Rocky, the tree warden about this, looking at salvaging some of the species in there that they can possibly save and then replant. But those invasives, I hate to say it, it's just gonna take right over again. So save what they can, replant it, it keeps the cost down for the town, but they're not gonna be able to fight the invasives for long out there unless they do a full restoration, invasive removal of that dune system, and that's just not gonna happen. So, but as long as they I'll have a pre-construction meeting again with Peter and, who's doing work at the highway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what, 75 feet at a time? And
Yeah,
this
and
is
I'll
what they're
have,
gonna
I'll
do,
have a meeting
chunks.
with,
Chunks.
Peter or, and the guys that are actually gonna be doing the work from the town, so that they understand what our expectations are,
Yes.
again.
And this has come light years from the original presentation.
Correct.
It was something that I think we just needed to have a strong methodology and real solid plans.
Correct.
And the accountability. So
And I believe the manufacturer specs were in there too, because that's one of my concerns with sand coming through,
right.
because that's the way they're designed. They're designed to set
Yeah.
off from each other. And usually, like I say, they put a
These are going to be the
cloth
largest.
behind it
Yes.
and 3/4 stone, and then but I guess according to Peter, you can do it that way.
It's going to be heavy.
Yeah.
So,
I
if we
just
have-
don't want to see any of that.
They interlock, so.
Yeah,
hopefully-
no, I know, but
Yes,
with
you are
sand
correct.
coming out through it,
Yep.
and we lose the dune.
I would not see a catastrophic event like that. I could see weeping till something
That's
settles.
what I mean, yeah.
And right now, we're losing dune. It's a far superior
It is.
solution than other parts of the town.
I think it'll help that parking lot probably flow of traffic too, not that that's our, wherever you.
It's a nice side effect.
3 feet, yeah.
It'll
So-
give them a little bit more maneuverability
Right.
out there,
Exact liability.
especially when you have,
Yeah.
little tourist types and little beach kids running all over the place.
With all the discussion that's been said, can I have a motion?
Move to issue the order as discussed.
Well, second.
That's Mary's motion, Russell's second. And any comments from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Before we have the end of business, if there's no other business tonight,
No other business.
no other business, I'm going to be selfish, and I'm going to just express thanks to all the people that have been working the storm. Good, bad, or ugly, a lot of people work very hard. And I don't just mean highway department. Obviously, we all have our expectations, but rescue and police and the hospital, this community always impresses the daylights out of me, out of people who stay extra shifts at the hospital and other people who just open up and give extra cup of coffee and the simple things. I'm very impressed with how strong a community we live in. One other little selfish note. For all the knuckleheads like me in the trades that work out in this cold every single frickin' day, and I am impressed at how much we accomplish. We have many tradesmen in this town who put homes together and are a vital part of our community. We do, and I'm not trying to brag, but when you see men and women work in this cold and in snow and just persevere and produce homes in our community, I am truly impressed, and they're somewhat of a local hero that sometimes they don't get any recognition. So, with that being said, I take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Russell's motion, Mary's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Here, here.